Hello beloveds. Well, I am sitting at Melbourne Airport waiting to board a flight, and I have a little bit of time on my hands, and I really wanted to jump in whilst I'm here. I've just shared something about the way airports make me feel. It always gets me feeling all the feelings. I feel this sense of expansion, of possibility and hopefulness about my life, and thinking about why that is and what happens. What do we create, or what do we have to do in order to feel that sense of expansiveness in our everyday life? Because it is entirely possible for us to live that way, and it's certainly my experience. What I believe unlocks that for us, and apologies for the announcements, I didn't think Melbourne Airport did announcements, but apparently they do. What unlocks that for me is knowing that I can trust the infinite, so knowing that I am one with that God mind and that everything I need is going to be provided. And when I'm in that state, that's when my intuition flows, because intuition is simply the language of the cosmos communing with us. I'll just let that announcement happen. Hi Gabrielle, hello gorgeous. The announcements might keep rolling, so I'm just going to keep talking. So the biggest block to our intuition is actually being in a state of fear. And that fear is largely our subconscious or unconscious fear. So it's not our conscious reasoning mind fear. It's not even the fears that we think are our real fears. It's that deep subconscious wound that exists in all of us, that we are somehow separate from God, that we're separate from our intuition, we're separate from the God mind. And as a result, we believe that we are not worthy. And that lack of spiritual self-esteem, that lack of worthiness, of knowing that in fact we're not separate, is what causes us to be disconnected from our intuition. So this is it. This is the problem, because intuition, if we look at the law of correspondence, intuition is simply a language, and it's the language of our God consciousness communing with ourselves. So we are constantly in that conversation. That conversation is constantly occurring. But if we are in low self-esteem, or if we're in self-doubt, if we believe that we're separate from the God mind, if we believe we're separate from God or that infinite consciousness, if you don't use the word God, then we are going to have trouble hearing our intuition, because it's simply a communication hotline. Our intuition is that infinite one mind, the field, the divine matrix, communicating with us all of the time. And there's nothing special or magical about that. It's actually our birthright to have that communication. But when we sit in fear that we are not worthy to be one with whom God or the goddess or the infinite one mind communes, then we naturally shut down that communication. Communication doesn't go anywhere. You don't lose it. We simply have made it impossible for ourselves to experience, to hear, to know, to feel, whatever way you receive your intuition. So it's our job, our primary task, to return ourselves to a state of absolute certainty of our worth. And that is how we change our relationship to our intuition. That's how we have a constant communication with our intuition. So how do we do that? Well, that is a process of deep devotion and practice, repeating again and again and again that we are willing to meet the fear that we are not worthy. So that fear is going to rise in lots of different ways, and we're going to talk about this at the next training on Wednesday. It's going to rise through all of your shadow archetypes, the prostitute, it's going to rise through the saboteur, it's going to rise through the victim, it's going to rise through the child. Again and again and again, you're going to meet fear in different faces and guises, and you'll think, oh my God, this must be the end of fear now, and then I'm moving on to the next one and I'm all good. And it's like, actually, fear doesn't go anywhere. What changes is our capacity to meet our fear fearlessly, because we trust God. Good morning, Lisa Smith. Oh my goodness, hilarious. I just have to tell you, I got into my Uber this morning, and guess who was driving me? Our Uber driver from when we were flying to Vancouver, who was quite a character, I have to say. He was a little less intense about the radio, but he did throw lots of statistics at me about all sorts of things. All the statistics had the number 5,000 in them. 5,000, young girls under 18 pregnant, 5,000 this, 5,000 that. It was quite hysterical. But when I got in there, I immediately thought of you and our last trip to Melbourne Airport, which was my last international flight when we were traveling to Canada together. So I'm so glad you were here, because I felt like you were with me in that Uber ride. So getting back to our topic, the idea that intuition is something that can be developed without developing spiritual self-esteem is a misnomer. And you simply will not activate your intuition in the way that you are entitled to, which is a constant communion with that infinite one mind, if you don't do the work of increasing your own spiritual self-worth. And so, as I said, it's a constant daily choice to be unafraid, to sit with fear and sit with discomfort and not look for some out, not look for some way to distract ourselves, because that attempt to distract ourselves from our fear is the ego saying, no, don't go there, you don't need to unpack your subconscious programs, let's just stay here where we are, quick, go and drink that thing or buy that thing or move house or start a new relationship or end a relationship or whatever it is. Those things may happen because the leaving relationships and buying houses and moving and stuff, but not as a way to distract ourselves from the deeper fear that we're experiencing. They happen as a result of us getting congruent between head and heart. So we must be willing to accept ourselves as God. Yes, that good old idea of self-worth. How am I willing to see myself as God? Where am I unwilling to see myself as God? Where am I willing to look at the places that I'm withholding that divine communion with myself? And it's a completely impossible task for us to go into a deeper intuition unless we're willing to remove those impediments, those blocks to knowing ourselves as God or the infinite one mind. It's just breaking the law. The law of correspondence tells us it is a law of communion. It's a law of that which is you is trying to correspond with yourself. That's what the law of correspondence is about. So that infinite one mind sent you forward and you think that you're separate from it, but that's just the illusion of the human dream. The truth is that separation never occurred. So that infinite one mind is trying to correspond with itself, yes? So the infinite one mind is trying to have a conversation with itself, which is you are the infinite one mind, believing that you're a temporarily separated smaller part, but actually that's not true at all. You never left the one mind. It's simply the dream that allows us to believe that or forces us to believe it so that we may remember ourselves. And that's really the point of this life. And the point of activating our intuition is not so that we can read cards for ourselves or other people or get quick and easy answers and avoid having to do the work. The point of activating intuition is to be willing to say, I am prepared this day to meet myself as God. I am prepared this day to step into my gloriousness and my magnitude, and I'm not going to go and hide from this. I'm not going to shy away from my own gloriousness today. I'm willing to hear that infinite one mind in its clearest form, and I'm ready to be a recipient of that divine visionary intuition, to use Caroline Myss's term. So the two are so intimately interlinked that I could not teach you how to activate your intuition without teaching you how to increase your spiritual self-esteem. And please join me on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, where we're going to go deep into understanding the anatomy of fear and how fear can actually block us, but also how fear can serve us to awaken to our intuition in such a magnificent way. So I'm going to leave it there because I'll show you, I'm at the airport right now. Let me see if I can turn my camera around and see all these people around who are having to listen to me talk about intuition. Gosh, I love being at the airport. And my flight's going to be leaving in a while, so I'm going to leave it there. But thank you so much for joining me. So lovely to see you, Lisa. I really did feel like I kept looking in the back seat wondering where you were. And I'll be going live over the weekend from Malaysia and letting you know more about the Initiate program and the training I've got coming up. So so much love to you all and have a glorious day.